Alright, let's dive into creating the waistband. First up, grab your rectangle tool and sketch out a narrow rectangle for the waistband. If you want to make things easier, head over to Avatar Display, then Arrangement Point, and position your waistband right there. Once you've got it in place, sew the sides together and hit that simulation button. Oh, and don't forget to set the waistband to strengthen. It really helps with the simulation. Alright, now let's move on to those skirt panels. Grab the rectangle tool again and draw another rectangle. Make sure the width is wider than half of the waistband and adjust the length to your liking. Next, select the slash and spread tool. Draw your line and spread it out to your desired width. You're going for a full skirt here, and trust me, when you add those pleats, everything will cinch in. Now you can adjust the waist length and curve part using the smooth curve option. Once you're happy with this pattern, you can select the pattern and hit Ctrl D to copy symmetric pattern with sewing, or just click right to select this option. I'm going to divide the waistband in half. Just click right on the segment, split, uniform split. Now we can do the same for the bottom part and we can start sewing. You can choose the free sewing tool now. Start from half of the waistband, click when finished, and then click shift as you continue on the bottom panels. And then just click at the end. I'm going to adjust the skirt now because the panels should be placed underneath the hands for better simulation. As you can see, my skirt is pretty long here, so I will adjust the length. The way to do this is adding an internal line to the edge. So basically, with the edit tool, select the edge, then offset as internal line, and select the width you want. Then once the internal line is created, click on the right line and cut. This will cut in the fabric basically. Now you can delete the unwanted panels, and you can tell my bottom is still uneven, so I'll adjust this later on. Now I'm going to add internal lines to mark the pleats. So I will shift select the opposite edges of my pattern, and then click right, distribute internal line. Then I will select the number of internal lines I would like to create. This will be the number of pleats. I think for me, 45 will be a good number, but you can select your own. At this point, with all the lines selected, don't forget to click on Fold Rendering on the right side. This will allow you to see your folds and creases of the pleats when you simulate. After you completed this step, click on the Pleats Fold option on your menu and draw a line in the direction you want to create the pleat on the pattern. You will see red and blue lines. This means that the folds have been created, and you can hit simulate now. And now you can tell how much the fabric is going to shrink in width and also a little bit in length. I'm going to choose this silk taffeta I downloaded from CLO library and adjust my skirt panels. Now select the front panel and Ctrl D to copy and paste symmetric pattern with sewing, or just click right to select this option. These panels will be for the back skirt. Now you can start sewing the waistband to the back. But first, you can start arranging them on the 3D window like this, just making sure they are facing the right side and they're very close to the waistband for better simulation. Okay, I think this looks pretty good. Now we can start sewing half of the waistband. Use the free sewing tool. Start on half of the waistband. Click to start and then shift click left when you start sewing on the bottom. Now you can simulate again and start sewing the remaining parts, like the side seams and the center back lines. If you notice the center front is flat, that is because the fold lines, we have the same fold lines near the center front and center back. So what we do here is basically you can click right on one of the fold lines, remove linked editing, then copy and paste a line near the center front. So we have to make sure the blue line, red line sequence continue. This way there's no break in the pattern. And you just simulate again. All right, here I actually adjusted the skirt length and shape as I showed previously with cutting some of the length of it, the width of it, I mean, and reshaping the size. I'm just like simulating again. There is a link down below with the patterns and also the actual 3D file for this dress if you want to recreate the exact same style. Let's start on the top now. As usual, I will create half of the pattern. As you can tell, there is a pretty big cleavage, and I will take that into account when designing. I'm adding the reference picture here to make sure I get the shape and size just right. And there is a lot of trial and error when you try to create a digital twin of an existing garment, trying to mimic real-life shape and flow of fabrics. Then select the pattern and Control D to paste symmetric pattern with sewing, or just click right to select this option. I will use the pin to avatar function when simulating in this case. So after I arrange my two panels properly on the top part of the body, I'll pin them to the avatar and then just simulate, making sure the fabrics don't fall and they're just like attached to the body. Then I can sew the back parts, remove the pins, and just simulate again. So I will click right, shift select the edges, click right, and then create internal lines between the 2 points. I have about 35 in this case, and you can always adjust the internal lines individually as well. Okay, now I will basically use the pleat function and just create the pleats as we have previously done as well. And then we can sew the center front parts and just click simulate. At this point, I'm going to speed up a little bit parts of the tutorials. I created the back panels, the internal lines, the direction of the folds, and simulate. So it's all the process. It's always similar to this. After I'm done with the front part, I will create the back panels with the same process, internal lines and pleats, and then simulate. After the back, I will create the bottom panels and create the pleats as well. It's always like an work in progress, and if you're not happy with the simulation, you can always click right on your panels and click reset 2D or 3D panel, and you can readjust it and resimulate. And once I let it simulate and fall in place, this is how it looks like. One thing I'd like to mention is that I love to keep my fabrics under strengthen just because there's a more controlled simulation. And voila, this is the end result. One thing I would like to mention is I have added 2 elements that made this top more realistic, and one is that I have clicked right on the edge and just went to the elastic part and moved the elastic ratio to 94. And second, I have created this uneven hem that makes it more realistic. So how did I do this? I basically just added points to the hem part and just moved them around to make them uneven, and then simulate it again. This creates more dimension and more life to the hem and makes it look closer to the actual dress we are following. Okay, this is it. This is what we have. If you would like to download the file and the patterns, there's a link down below. I hope you enjoyed it.